And now it's time for part 2 of the Curb Find. Let's see, what is it? Hoover Elite Rewind Plus. So taking this brush roll apart was a real pain, but look at the results. I mean, that's almost like new. That's fantastic. So taking a look at these bearings, and I believe these are R4s. It's kind of an unusual bearing, and these aren't cheap. I mean, other ones that are this size can be, well, less than $1 a piece. And unless you can get a good deal, and maybe you can, I haven't looked anything up like this in a while. These are a little expensive, so I'm not going to replace them. I don't stock this size normally, but these are from 2021, and they're in fairly good shape, although I will say that I'm noticing the grease is starting to clump a little bit. That might be almost impossible for you to see, but it's beginning to clump a little bit. So I'm going to, off camera, clean these out, dry them, of course, and then apply my fantastic high-end mobile Polyrex, specifically for high-speed bearings. Now, incidentally, that's what was wrapped around one of the bearings, and this is the total accumulation of what was wrapped around that brush roll. Now it's been freed of that, we can go ahead and pack these bearings. They've been cleaned up a bit. So I've had some comments that you put too much grease in there. Well, it looks like I'm actually filling the bearing up. If I put it in camera where you can see that. I'm not. What I'm doing is gently kind of squishing the grease into the top. So it's kind of flat. See that right there? It looks like it's actually full. Okay, it's not. There's a lot of air gaps in there. And even if this was a type of bearing that you'd go and you pack both sides, it still wouldn't be full. So when this bearing spins around, it's going to throw the grease outwards, to the races, so to speak, the outer race. And that is going to have a nifty effect. One, it's going to allow kind of a grease reservoir that as this machine ages, it will be able to pull. This bearing's so small I can hardly spin it because my fingers are so big. It will actually pull grease in from, well, not only the caps, top and bottom, but also what, is around the outer circumference. And that will have the additional benefit of blocking moisture. So this is a great way to do it. You don't just put a little dab in there. Put some in there already. And make sure that you use high-speed electric motor bearing grease, right? It's very thin. Do not use wheel bearing grease in high-speed bearings. Wheel bearing grease is for like something on a motorcycle or a truck tire or a car tire, something that spins at maybe 1,000 RPM. These can spin, well, not exactly these are brush roll bearings. These can spin at maybe, say, 4,000 to like, say, 10,000 RPM typically. Some can go a little bit slower than that, though, believe it or not. And the motor bearings can spin at, 20, 30, 40,000, way up there. So that's high speed. The wheel bearing grease that you get, typically it's red, but it can be other colors, is meant for very low speed applications. So here we are, some R4s cleaned out and repacked. And it's going to be real entertaining getting those back on the shafts because those bearings right here have to be seated on either end. So there's some pounding on the inner race that's required. So I've reseated bearing 1 on one side, And then what you do is take one of these little handy dandy end cap bearing holders that will push in, right? And since these end caps are symmetrical, one of them doesn't have like, a rounded slot for stuff to go in. They're exactly the same, although one has like a little silver dot in here and some other marks. There's no difference there. Okay, after a little persuasion with a 8mm socket, now we have both sides ready to go. The bearings are in and seated. Now we put the end caps on. I even put a little grease in there as well, so stuff doesn't get, super stuck, because, man, this was awful to try to pull and twist off without damaging things. And then squeeze them on. Ugh, that kind of thing. Oh, yeah. Very nice. And I now know that, well, let's face it, hair could still wrap around these things, but I would have the ability a little more easily to pull the end caps off and hopefully give it a service. But I know that these bearings will last a very, very long time. And it should kind of go without saying that these do have an orientation, meaning if this, like, say, has a flat side that's facing perfectly up in this direction, you need to have the other side the same way. And these are splined, so they can go in, at different directions. So if you make a mistake, you'll realize when you go to reinsert the brush roll that, it won't go in properly, because one end cap will be slightly cockeyed. So one of the reasons why I grease the end of the caps, so they are easy to remove in case you make a mistake. Up next, we have to polish this commutator. So I have a seating stone right here. These are available, like, say, on eBay. You can get them in singles or a 10-pack. And we have to polish this really awful looking rusty shaft. For that, I have 400 grit paper. All right, let's see, where's the power button? So it's going to get loud. All right, test. All right, I wonder, I think probably going to do that. Oh, that's smooth and it's shiny. Okay, next. Oh, that looks awful. Maybe this won't be strong enough. Maybe I'll have to use like 200 grit or something. This may have been the rustiest belt shaft I have done in a long time, or maybe ever. I mean, that's what came off. Yeesh. But everything sounds good now. Let's take a good look at this clamshell. So it's back together. So as you can see, right, tight, 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 tight. What's that? So believe it or not, that is not a rubber foam gasket seal problem. That is a manufacturing error. So you can see this goes along here, it's all fine, and then it just, woo, and it's just gone. And it hasn't been eaten away or anything. It's just was never manufactured correctly. And you might say, well, I see like a hole in there. Well, let me get real close. Yep, it's not a hole. Now that doesn't mean it's a great seal either, but it's a lot better than what it was. And then after it just kind of comes along here, then it gets tight again. So that's just what we have to deal with. And everything is pretty tight elsewhere. So the big thing is for testing leaks, we got to test the suction. Suction test number 1. I say that's a pass, but we don't know what it measures just yet. Got some lightweight oil. Ugh. Oh, that's so noisy. That is so noisy. A little drop in there. A little drop over here. Smooth as anything. Drop over there. Drop over there. Yay! That's nice. Ugh. Okay, so this one's going to require me to tilt this thing up. I'll put it in the top. Yeah, that's better. So, sorry if this is out of frame. Alright, now we're better. Nice. Yay. Got this exhaust filter. We'll test it at some later date to see if it's truly HEPA. I think most are, but some plainly aren't. And we're almost done. How about we first turn it on, check it a couple of times, and then I'll put the suction gauge on the end of the hose. Yeah, all right, seems okay. I don't think it's perfect by any means. So let's see. Can I show you this and not have the vacuum like fall all over the place? All right, so I believe the red one was at 73. So get that as close as I can. All right, here we go. Okay, so I saw like 70, 71. So you know what? That's probably as good as it's going to get. But it's a lot better than 20 something. I think it was like low 20s. So now it's a 70, maybe low 70s. Big, big improvement. Let's give it the carpet run. It's maiden voyage. It's on position 3, or medium. Wow. That's really sucking down. So now, not only is the airflow and suction restored, but I think I might have to bump it from 3 to 4. Let me see what it does on 4, because it's really sticking down to the carpet. Of course, everything you can imagine has been completely cleaned. Now let's see, 4. All right, let's see. Maybe it's the wrong height. Let's find out. Okay, 4 doesn't work, so it really doesn't touch the carpet. So it's got to be 3. But man, right now it is just clamping down on this medium pile carpet. Yep, gets easier. So obviously it's working very well. Not exactly like brand new, because hey, it's a 2021 that was somewhat abused. But let me tell you, in its current condition, it's got too much flow and suction to a mostly sealed nozzle. So to be honest with you, once you get a little bit of dust in there and it reduces the flow and suction a little bit, it'll probably push a little bit easier. But yeah, position 4 is no good. Position 3 is what you want, but 3 really clamps down. In any case, this is definitely going again, no doubt. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.